But again, as I pointed out here, what does that investment look like? So we can then go back and unpack, okay, and start thinking about here where on the left-hand side here, these are the resilience dimensions that made up child well-being. So we looked at emotional skills and depressive symptoms at the household level. We looked at food security and wealth. At the societal level, we looked at access to basic services, social cohesion. And again, we start better understanding how those individual characteristics, okay, in terms of their levels. So we can look at it here and say that in these three geographical regions, if I had a program, perhaps where I was dealing with either wealth or dealing with individual traits, this helps me to prioritize perhaps how I might design my programs, okay? So again, we start unpacking things and moving beyond saying wealth is important or livelihood. We really are able to contextualize that. Well, this is the pathway model, and don't be scared of this, okay? But what this allows us to do is have perhaps one map that starts looking at how each one of these various dimensions are associated with each other. So perhaps we see here how governance, right, is directly related to parental support, which is directly related to wealth. So this allows perhaps, when you think about your line ministries, if you have a line ministry that's dealing, right, with perhaps water sanitation issues or infrastructure or education, it helps to be able to look at those associations. And we can also go beyond this and look at specific outcomes. So this is using this master, right, systems level mapping. We can say, well, if we wanted to improve child school attendance, okay, so UNICEF said to us, we want to know how to improve child school attendance beyond what we're currently doing, perhaps providing textbooks, perhaps by improving teacher quality. Based upon what we saw here at a systems level, we found these associations. We found that parental support and household water and sanitation, social cohesion, and wealth were significantly associated with promoting improved child school attendance. So what does that say? It says that, let's say I was working for UNICEF and I was specifically looking at my programs here in terms of providing textbooks, in terms of providing teachers. I would want to make sure that I link my programs to other units that are dealing perhaps with how to improve and support parental guidance. And also noting that factors related to household water and sanitation promotes child school attendance. And similarly, of course, wealth, right? So this again helps individual ministries or individual actors to go beyond their program, to start linking it to other actors, so that ultimately you have an integrated program that, though this is the outcome in terms of child school attendance, it allows us and allows you perhaps to understand the broader role of connectivity. And this is just one outcome. One could be looking at how to improve governance. One could be looking at how to improve water and sanitation. So we can actually look at different outcomes and look at those associations. And within each of this, well, what is parental support? What is social cohesion? Well, looking and going back to the indicators that made up, we can then predict within each one of those dimensions that, for example, if household wealth is important, specifically looking at all of those different indicators, we saw that basic household assets were important. So again, this approach allows us to not only help at a higher systems level in terms of perhaps shaping policies and mobilizing resources, but perhaps down to that household community level, it helps to be able to then promote and contextualize programs. Okay? So again, to just wrap this up, the resilience measurement can give you this big R. Okay? It can help us kind of think about where communities communities and areas here are more or less resilient. It can then help think through in terms of the types of investments needed. The pathway analysis helps to be able to connect your investments, okay? And ultimately, we're hoping that this is something that can help you as you look at your national policies. It can help you as you think about perhaps how your governments are operating and decentralized. So if you have a national policy, how is that implemented at regional levels? And ultimately, at a regional level, how do those investments support at the community and household level? Okay? So let me stop there, and just to say that we have gone through this process and provided the roadmap and the evidence to our innovators. And they've taken that innovation forward to help provide solutions. And there, I'm going to ask Dr. Dorothy to come up and talk about the innovations and the solutions.